Mason is going to help me. Mason is going to help me put the PowerPoint up. I have 2 slides of PowerPoint and a couple of videos. Okay, good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the Black farmer in America, a century of discrimination. I chose this topic mostly because last year during midwinter, one of the presentation that I attended was about Black farmer. Natalie Bazile had just written a new book called Celebrating African American Farmers, Land and Legacy. We have that book in our collection. So the way she started her presentation really captivated my interest, mostly because my father was an accountant, but he was also a farmer. So we grew up going to farm with him, helping him. And I knew how hard it was to be able to be a successful farmer. So the presentation really I took it a little personal. So later on, I went back to research more about the condition of farmers here in America. One thing that most of us know about is that in 1920, there were more than a million farmers here in America. And today, as of 2017, there were only 2% of farmers in this country, and even less than 2% today in 2022. So the reason why the farmers have decreased in America is because of the long period of discrimination that the farmer went through, and the problem they were having, even with the Department of Agriculture. So the bank didn't want to give them loan. If you are going to be a farmer, you need money to be able to buy crops, to be able to pay a machine and do other things. And the bank would not give them loan at the same rate that they were giving loan to white farmer. And then the Black farmer, whenever there was a disaster and the government were giving out subsidies to help farmers, the Black farmer were not getting anything. And that just, that unfair treatment also was extended to the price. Like when they, at the end of the harvest, when they go to sell the product, even the buyers were not giving them a fair price. And another thing is that so many Black farmers lost their farm, mostly because the farm was mostly like from father and son. So a head of the family usually just distribute a portion of land to their children, to his children. And when it was time to maybe get some type of loan or get subsidy from the government will ask them to bring the title on the farm. And most of them did not have the title. They inherited the farm from the fathers. They know the land belonged to them, but they had nothing to prove that they were the true owner. So they were not able to get to get any type of benefit because of the inability to prove that they were the owner of the land. Now, and when I was doing the research, I came across the story of John Boyd Jr. John Boyd Jr., his story was really fascinating to me because he played I can say a big role in improving the situation of Black farmer today. He was he's the fourth generation of Black farmer. And then and he bought a 210-acre of land when he was 18 for $51,000 in Bakersville, Virginia, where he raised cattle, guinea, hog and goats, and he also had dog and his family. He raised his family on the land. So at one point he needed a loan to be able to continue his farming. He was just asking to borrow $5,000. When he went to the bank, after spending a day waiting for the loan officer to at least acknowledge him, he did not get the loan. And while he was waiting, he noticed that another white farmer came right there and he needed a loan for more than 100,000. He didn't even fill an application. After a few seconds, he left the office with his check. And John, who was waiting, did not get anything. In the contrary, the loan officer just threw away his loan application and spat on him and chased him away. So after that humiliation and injustice, he decided to file a lawsuit. And he went and he filed the lawsuit to the federal government. And of course, the United States Department of Agriculture recognized that Black farmers were discriminated, and he was able to win his lawsuit. And after that lawsuit, other Black farmers heard about his story and came to him, because while he was doing all those things, he thought that he was the only one who was discriminated. So other people, other Black farmers approached him, and in order to effectively help them, he created the National Black Farmer Association. And that association still exists even today, and they're still fighting for the right of Black farmers. So at this point, I have a little short video that gives like a summary of his story, and that we are going to see.
I'm John Boyd Jr., fourth generation Black farmer in Mecklenburg County, Virginia, founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association. I'm born to farm. The land knows no color. If you're good to the land will always be good to you. Black farmers were promised $5 billion, and we didn't get it. Where's our money?
I know the land cause I own the land. My people fought and died for the land. I owe the land, reap what you sow, so I sow the land. Snakes in the grass, so I mow the land. No, it ain't for sale, my life on the land. My glory land, my holy land, my only land. They want it bad cause they say he who control the land, control the man. And if you ask me, they still owe me land. Got the slaving just to buy back stolen land. When it's my people blood that fertilize the soil for the grass. $5 billion promises, you owe me some cash. Instead I got spit on my applications, in the trash. Dog, I've been fighting my whole life, only the strongest will last. And we won't stop until they get it right, I promise you that.
We can't stop until we find justice. I've been from the outhouse to the White House, protesting, sit-ins, marches.
Time to pay me what you owe, 40 acres and a mule, but I need more. How we go from 16 million acres down to 4? We know, is it cause of my skin? Yeah it is, don't lie. All we want is equal rights for both sides. Till then we gon' fight. Look, till in its own sight, it could go either way, left or right. You choose, is your life. But for my land, I'm gon' die. Don't trespass, I'm gon' fight. Click, clack, fight, fight.
Every step you take, every step you make requires land ownership. You can either be on your own land or trespass on someone else's. We are facing extinction from 1 million Black farmers down to 50,000. From slaves to sharecroppers to horrific Jim Crow laws, we are still here fighting for survival. Stole all the land from Indians. Now they're stealing all the land from Black farmers. We want our land. We want our damn money. We want reparations. Pay us now.
Okay, thank you, Mason. So this is like you can see the story of John Boy. He said it maybe better than I would I would try to explain in that video what he's been going through. And one thing that also when I read his story that he talked about that was really sad to me is that even today when he's time to sell his product, he said that he had to go through his white stepfather who represent him on the market. Otherwise, he won't make any profit. And that in 2022 is not right. And then one thing that I look into to see what the current administration is doing to try to solve the problem of Black farmer. It started actually with the President Obama. He awarded the Black farmer 1.2 billion settlement to try to help them and then encourage more Black people to get into farming. And then for the Biden administration, he came up with the Equity Commission so that they can look into all the discrimination and find a way to help Black farmers. And one thing that they did is that today, if you own a land and you don't even have a proper documentation, they are trying to find a way. If you have witness, if you have family members, or if you even have maybe a Bible with something that your father wrote into to show that you are the true owner of the land, the government is accepting all these documents now to be able to either give you loan or give you settlement or help you to improve in your farming. But today, the other problem that Black farmers are facing is that during the pandemic, the government decided to give them some money to help them, just like every other business. But because the money was only for Black farmers, now the white farmer came and filled out a lawsuit. They are claiming reverse discrimination. So up to now, the Black farmers are still fighting for their rights. And the government has to change the name instead of saying that the money will be just for Black farmers. They have to change and say that the money will go to all farmers minority. And that's the only reason that the Congress was able to sign onto it. But when they go to the bank now, the bank does not want to give them the money, and they're saying that they are not making any interest because the loan is interest-free, and because they are not making any profit on that loan, the bank are reticent to give the money, to give the loan to Black farmers. So that's another issue that they are fighting now. And Mason is going to show the last video with an interview with John Boyd, where he's talking about the problem they are facing today.
In 1910, 14% of all U.S. farmers were Black. Today, that number is down to 1.4%. Now, as farmers of color say they are facing extinction, essentially, billions of dollars in federal aid promised to them is on hold.
Here to discuss is founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association, John Boyd Jr. John, thank you so much for being with us. And yes, let's talk about President Biden's rescue plan. Yes. It set aside $4 billion in debt relief for farmers of color. As we just said, a judge has put that aid on hold amid claims of reverse discrimination. Can you talk a little bit about why this debt relief, why this aid is so important to farmers of color?
Well, you know, this is a issue that stems back to about 3 decades when I first started the issue. And debt relief will be important to Black and other farmers of color because we need the resources to help sustain our farming operations. So here we were promised this money, and now it's law, and we still can't get it. And now we're being held up in federal court around the country where primarily large-scale white farmers filed 12 different complaints in federal court. And, you know, they really should be ashamed of themselves because they should understand what discrimination is, and they said, well, you know, it's reverse discrimination by black farmers and farmers of color receiving the aid. We're harming them. They don't know what discrimination is and what it feels like in this country. Black people have been slaves. We've been sharecroppers and survived through horrific laws of Jim Crow, where we had to go through the back door and buying stations and grain elevators and things of this nature. And we've been discriminated against from a systematic standpoint at the United States Department of Agriculture. And it's time for those things to change. And I'm challenging those white farmers to come to the table and have a real conversation with the National Black Farmers Association.
For those people who believe this is, in fact, reverse discrimination, I'd love for you to address that and talk about why you feel differently and why you don't think these lawsuits should be happening right now.
Absolutely. And thank you very much, Amy, for that question. It's not reverse discrimination. When it was white farmers getting all of the debt relief all of the time, all of these decades, it's been them who's been getting the debt relief. Black farmers were getting a 30-day foreclosure notice where you had to pay all of the money else they start selling your farm, like they did one of my farms. And when they say they reverse discrimination, I said earlier in the top of the show that they don't know what discrimination is and what it feels like to be called the N-word and boy and colored, being seen by 1 day a week by the local official in my home county. Wednesday, we named it Black Wednesday. I had my application torn up and thrown in the trash can, and I've been spat on. And I would like to ask white farmers in this country that filed those lawsuits, which one of those issues did they endure? Were you ever called a racial epithet and colored and Negro and stuff like that? That's my challenge to them. And I said early on that we need to come to the table so that we can have really a come home to Jesus conversation about what discrimination is and who's been getting the money. The top 10% in this country receive over $1 million in farm subsidies in this country, which is relief, your taxpayer dollars, and the average subsidy to a black farmer is roughly a couple $100. So you tell me who's been getting the money and who hasn't. And really this is about greed. They're saying they want all of the money. And I'm here to say we're here, and black and other farmers of color have contributed to the American fabric in this country and made cotton king and tobacco gold and peanuts and all these other commodities. We contribute to the American fabric, and we paid our dues in this country. And we should be able to participate in those federal programs, farm, and a lot of the other companies here too, TJ, John Deere and others, who haven't given back to black farmers. I'm here today to say I support the strike of the employees. They should pay them, and the CEO getting 160%. John Deere hasn't contributed a dime to the National Black Farmers Association, but we continue to buy the high-price combines, $1 million combines, and all of these things. We have a host of long list of issues that need addressing, and I'm reaching out to other black leaders in this country, athletes, to sit down and support the National Black Farmers Association. We are really struggling to keep up with these lawsuits in federal court, and it's because we don't have the resources to do that.
John, you got my heart racing and tears in my eyes because what you described
well, thank you.
is what I grew up with, because every single week
in Arkansas,
growing up,
right.
I went to Turl, Arkansas, where my granddad was a farmer, and he farmed wheat and cotton. And I saw so much of what you described, and I see so much of him in you, actually, as you talk here.
Everything good comes from the farm, my grandfather and daddy taught me. The importance of land ownership. My grandfather, Thomas Boyd, slept with his deed underneath his mattress because he knew that that's something that he could leave to his children. Wow. You can't leave your PhD to your children, but he could leave his poor old raggedy farm to his children. He taught me that the land doesn't know any color. It never mistreated anyone. And if I'm good to the land will always be good to me. So the message is, buy some land.
Wow. Can he come back for Faith Friday?
Wow, John. John.
Amazing. You feel so much listening to your story. You can feel your passion, and we appreciate you being on the show today so much, John Boyd Jr. We learned a lot from you. Founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association. We appreciate your time, and we hope you come on back.
Thank you very much, Amy.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks. You too.
All right, so that's the end of my presentation. One thing that I want to leave everyone with is that even though the situation looks sad, there's hope because we have people like John Boy and other Black farmers that are fighting for the rights of all the other Black farmers and encourage the young people to join the fight. So thank you.
Thank you, Eloise. I can share that my cousin, he was a farmer down in Zebulon, North Carolina, and they grew pecans. And I remember all the time they used to send them up to my great grandmother, and I believe he was very involved with the. I have to see if I can find it now, because I think at some point he was very involved in the the farmers organization. But thank you for sharing that information.
Thank you. Mhm.
I feel like I doubly don't know anything about this because I don't really know anything about farms in general. Like they're sort of outside of, if you live in certain places, you just don't see them, and they weren't my background. And so I feel like this was so fascinating and heartbreaking, but like you said, they're a small but mighty group. It sounds like I mean, 50,000, that's nothing, but it sounds like they're really fighting the good fight to try and get what they deserve.
Yes, they are. And I have like a second PowerPoint where when I have some resources and the book that we have here at the library. So you can read if you want to learn more.
Thank you. That's awesome.
All right.
Eloise, can you put that on the staff blog too, so we can go back?
Yes, I will. I will have Mason do that for me. Thank you. Thank you, Mason. All right.
And Melanie, who's tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Barbara Buck, and she'll be presenting at 10:30.
Right, fantastic.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day, everyone.
All right.
Okay, thanks.